The dog sat perfectly still in the farthest corner of the shelter kennel, spine straight despite his age, eyes alert but tired, like a soldier who never truly learned how to rest. People passed by him all day without stopping. Puppies barked and leapt at the glass, younger dogs wagged their tails wildly, but this one did neither. His muzzle was gray, his ears scarred, his body heavy with old injuries and older memories. On the small card clipped to the gate, one word seemed to seal his fate before anyone even looked at him properly: retired. If this opening already makes your chest tighten, take a moment to like the video, share it, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet heroes the world too often forgets. The shelter itself smelled of disinfectant and damp concrete, a place meant to be temporary but which often became permanent for those no one chose. Volunteers tried their best, but the truth lingered in every hallway. Older dogs were overlooked. Working dogs were misunderstood. And police dogs, especially retired ones, carried a reputation that scared families away. People whispered about aggression, about trauma, about danger. They did not see loyalty carved into bone, or discipline earned through years of service. They only saw a powerful animal past his prime. The dog in the corner had once sprinted into burning warehouses, tracked suspects through freezing rain, and stood between danger and human lives without hesitation. Now he waited behind chain link, invisible. The officer who noticed him that afternoon had not planned to stop. He had come to the shelter to drop off donated blankets from the precinct, a routine task squeezed between shifts. His uniform was still crisp, his movements automatic, but exhaustion clung to him like a second shadow. Years on the force had hardened his posture, yet lately something inside him felt brittle, stretched thin by paperwork, politics, and the steady erosion of idealism. As he walked past the kennels, his eyes skimmed over wagging tails and pleading faces until they landed on stillness. The dog did not bark. He did not pace. He simply watched. There was something unsettling and familiar in that gaze. It was the same look the officer saw in the mirror some mornings, the look of someone alert even when resting, someone who had learned that calm did not mean safety. He slowed his steps without realizing it. The dog's coat was still well kept despite shelter life, his muscles defined under the fur, though time had softened them. A faint scar ran along his flank, another across the bridge of his nose. This was not a dog shaped by comfort. This was a dog shaped by purpose. The officer crouched instinctively, drawn closer by curiosity he could not explain. That was when he noticed the collar. It was old, the leather cracked and worn smooth in places where hands had once rested. Hanging from it was a small metal tag, dulled by years of movement and weather. At first, he assumed it was a standard ID tag, maybe the dog's name or badge number. But the engraving was longer than usual, words packed tightly as if someone had needed to say more than a name. He leaned closer, squinting slightly, and read it slowly. The words were simple, unevenly etched, not factory-made. They felt personal, deliberate, like a message carved with shaking hands and a full heart. If you find me, please know I served until I could not anymore. I protected lives. I was loyal. I am not broken. I just need somewhere to belong. Something shifted inside the officer's chest, sharp and sudden. The noise of the shelter seemed to fade as the weight of those words settled over him. This was not just a dog waiting for adoption. This was a partner left behind by a system that moved on too quickly. The officer understood that feeling intimately. He had seen colleagues retire quietly, medals packed away, phone calls slowing until they stopped altogether. Service ended, and with it, visibility. The dog did not move as the officer read. He did not beg. He did not flinch. He simply held eye contact, steady and patient, as if he had learned long ago that true connection came from waiting, not demanding. The officer felt an unexpected sting behind his eyes. He reached out slowly, not to touch yet, but to acknowledge. The dog leaned forward just enough to let the man know the gesture was welcome. Years of training and trust flowed through that small movement. Shelter staff later explained the dog's story in hushed tones. He had been partnered with a veteran handler who retired suddenly due to illness. The dog's own injuries, accumulated over years of service, had ended his career soon after. There was no family to take him, Northwest Clear program to place him. Paperwork delayed decisions, budgets tightened, and eventually he ended up here. Weeks passed. No one asked about him. No one wanted the risk, the responsibility, the reminder of a past they did not share. The officer listened, arms crossed, jaw tight. He thought about the nights he had relied on partners without question, human and canine alike. He thought about trust built silently, through shared danger and unspoken understanding. He imagined what it must feel like to go from essential to unwanted, from asset to burden, overnight. The dog's calm presence now felt heavier, layered with meaning. Taking a retired police dog home was not simple. There were forms, approvals, evaluations. There were concerns about compatibility, about the dog's health, about liability. The officer faced skepticism from colleagues and raised eyebrows from supervisors. Some warned him gently, others bluntly, that this was more responsibility than reward. But each time doubt crept in, he remembered the collar. He remembered the words carved into metal as a final plea to be seen. The transition was not easy. The dog struggled with unfamiliar silence, with the absence of routine radio chatter and commands. Old habits surfaced unexpectedly, hyper-alert reactions to distant sirens, restless pacing at night. The officer, too, struggled. He was unused to sharing his quiet space, to adjusting his schedule, to confronting his own unresolved fatigue reflected back at him in canine form. But slowly, something began to change. Mornings became structured again, not by obligation but by mutual need. Walks turned into quiet patrols of the neighborhood, the dog's head high, senses engaged. Neighbors began to notice, first cautiously, then warmly. Children asked questions. Veterans nodded in recognition. The dog softened, not losing his discipline but rediscovering gentleness. His eyes, once guarded, now followed the officer with something like peace. There were setbacks. Old injuries flared, requiring patience and care. Nightmares came and went. But each challenge met was shared, not shouldered alone. The officer found himself healing in ways he had not anticipated. Caring for the dog gave his own service new context, a reminder that worth did not expire with usefulness. Months later, the shelter posted an update photo. The retired police dog lay in sunlight on a front porch, collar replaced but tag carefully preserved, resting beside him and no longer so weighed down by exhaustion. The post went quietly viral, shared by officers, handlers, and strangers alike. People commented about loyalty, about forgotten heroes, about the simple power of being chosen. The dog, once overlooked, became a symbol of something deeper. Just before the ending, take a moment and tell us in the comments what this story made you feel, or share the name of a hero, human or animal, you think deserves to be remembered. In the end, it was never just about adopting a dog. It was about recognizing service beyond uniforms, honoring devotion without applause, and understanding that some souls are not broken, only waiting. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like the video, share it with someone who believes in second chances, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps keep stories like this alive, reminding the world that loyalty does not retire, and neither should compassion.